Hello and welcome to another episode of the Contractor Grow Show. My name's Mark. Today I'm speaking with Chris Obry at OBRY Brick Landscape in Armada, Michigan. Chris, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, so you guys are out in a smaller town, kind of northeast of Detroit. Really interested to hear kind of the history of the business. And why don't we just start there? Tell me about the history of the business, how you got into this, and where things are at today.
Well, I started at a young age. We're kind of, you got that right. We're about an hour north of Detroit, northeast of Detroit. And so there's a lot of farm out here, farmland. And there was a sod farm that I started working at. My mom worked at, she was a secretary there. And so if we weren't helping neighbors do work at their house, she says, why don't you come here and help out on the farm? So I worked at a sod farm at a young age. I instantly fell in love with that type of work, right? It wasn't a suit and tie. I was able to ride there with my mom. My dad was in the white collar industry, in the banking industry. So I looked at it as if I don't have to wear a suit and tie, that'd be great, right? So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed working with the equipment and the people and just being outside and seeing, being creative, seeing something that's just, a mud pile just turn into something that's nice for a home, and that's how I kind of got into the industry. Realized I wanted to stay in that industry. So I got a degree from Michigan State with a turf and landscape and an agricultural degree. And then I worked for a supply company right around like in the early 90s when the hardscape industry started kind of coming into the landscapes a little bit more. And then I just, I didn't have anything major. I was living at home. I was paying rent living at home, right? And then I had a truck payment and that was it. And so I figured if there was a time for me to get to the next level and start a company, it would be then. And that's what we did. I started working by myself, and I think that was in 97. So I worked for a couple of years by myself. Then I got to the point where I needed some help and got some laborers, and it's been great ever since. We've kind of expanded we used to be just a brick paving company. And then now we've gone into tree and shrub planting and landscape design and things like that. And here we are, almost 29 years later. So it's been great.
Amazing long history of the business. That is so interesting and cool. We talked to a lot of folks just been in the business for a few years. So what are the services that you guys offer? I mean, you kind of got a long list of things that you guys do for customers. How do you describe those?
Yeah, well, we're an owner-operated company first and foremost. So I'm out there doing the work with 2 or 3 other guys. I think that separates us from a lot of other companies. But our services include any hardscapes, right? Brick paver patios, walkways, driveways, patio extensions, outdoor grilling stations, outdoor kitchen areas, tree and shrub planting, landscape design, more of the construction aspect of landscaping. But we don't offer any services of maintenance like grass cutting or fertilization applications. We don't do any shrub maintenance. If we install it for the customer, we will go back and do a little bit of maintenance with trimming and things like that. But that's very limited. But it's mainly in the core construction aspect of the landscaping.
Okay. So it's always interesting to me when I talk with, kind of landscape design companies, kind of landscape sort of design build. I mean, there's a hardscaping piece where you're working with stonework, but I mean, then there can be this whole construction piece where you're actually building gazebos. I mean, do you guys have like large projects where someone wants to do some outdoor kind of living space and maybe, I don't know, a multi-month project and you guys are actually getting into building, or is it mainly kind of hardscape type stuff?
Yeah, it's getting there, right? It just seems like these projects are growing and getting bigger every year. So we do have subcontractors that we work with that do the pergolas or additions on houses, especially for pools. The landscape guys are always the last guys on the job, right? So we're the guys with the cleanup, all the equipment, things like that. So those outdoor grill stations, the pergolas, the additions on houses, those are areas that we can either sub out or share with the customer. They would find somebody that would put on an addition, but typically for pergolas and structural lumber or Trex decking, things like that, platforms, we usually sub that stuff out. Irrigation, we sub out. We mainly just keep our hands dirty with the landscape construction aspect of it.
Gotcha. Do you have any plans to grow into that area? You said those are the projects getting bigger, or is it just really the hardscape is kind of you guys thing, and that's where you're doing really well?
Well, that's where we're doing really well. As I said, I enjoy our company. We've been very successful being small, right? It's myself and 3 or 4 other guys. There was a time where we tried to expand with a couple of crews, and it just fits better. I think from a customer standpoint, I think that's our niche, is that customer is the one who calls me. I'm the one who sees them on the appointment. I'm the one that brings out the samples. I'm the one that draws the design. I'm the one that's installing it. I've got a lead guy if I have to leave or go get materials or go see another customer. So I'm the guy that I'm their point of contact all the time. And I think that has really gained us a very good following, because I know from my experiences when I used to work for other landscape companies or even contractors that work around here, there's something to be said about being the guys that are on the job getting dirty. And then all of a sudden the owner comes up, with his ice cream cone and asks for the check, and he doesn't, and he doesn't, and then he goes, takes off. Right. Well, the other guys are busting their butt. Right. So I pride myself on that. And I think the customers, I think that helps us with our customers, and they appreciate that. So I like that. I like that file that we're in.
Man, awesome. So it seems like when COVID happened, folks had been spending a lot of time away from their home, and they began to spend a lot more time in the home. I mean, we saw a huge construction boom, and it seems like especially these outdoor spaces became just kind of real premium and really important. Did you guys see changes that happened during COVID, and maybe even continuing to this day?
Oh, absolutely. I think that I think of the people that want to have the amenities from inside outside. And that's where you have those grill stations, those cooking areas, the sinks, the refrigerators, especially with pool projects, right? That's the outdoor living. That's where they can expand those spaces. And when you're entertaining, and that's one of the questions that I ask customers is, do you entertain a lot? Because you're going to have your cliques, you're going to have your group of kids over here, you're going to have your adults over here, and creating those little hubs and making it functional in that landscape design are crucial, because, let's face it, these are expensive projects, right? And so we research that and really tailor it and customize it to what the customer is looking for. If they entertain a lot, we're going to need those areas, and they want to be outside. And it's amazing what the industry has come along with a lot of these cooking stations and these grills and these barbecues and smokers and fire pits and all these things now that you can do outside. It's really bloomed into, or blossomed into a nice aspect of the landscape.
Wow. And I mean, you've obviously seen just all kinds of new products and new kind of ways to do your service over the last 29 years. I mean, there's a lot of, talking about these grills and things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, maybe it's obvious, but I mean, I'm just kind of realizing this, I suppose. I mean, there's a lot of product, services, whole offerings in your arena that simply didn't even exist 20 years ago.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, before it was just, the patio off the deck with a walkway, maybe a fire pit area. Now it's huge fireplaces with, huge pergolas over it. I mean, outdoor, living. The only thing that's not there are the walls, right? Everything else is, dinner tables and couch areas and lounge areas. That's all a part of the outdoor living. And it wasn't like that, 25, 30 years ago at all, even 15 years ago.
Huh. Wow. Interesting. So, I mean, you guys are in Michigan, cold winters. I mean, is your season sort of, 8 to 9 months? And I mean, the other 3 months, there's a lot less to do, or I mean, what do you guys do in the winter?
Yeah, a lot of guys, we don't. So our work season typically goes from the beginning of April, because we have frost laws out here, right, for the roads. So trucks can't haul their maximum capacity. So once those frost laws come off and guys can haul, trucks can be utilized to their full potential, that's when everybody gets going, right? So that's usually mid-April, beginning of April, sometime in there. And then it goes all the way to, say, December. And that's when we usually end off somewhere middle of November. And then a lot of guys go to snow plowing and snow services. We don't do that. I get to be a stay-at-home dad in the wintertime, which has been fantastic. So my wife works too, which also helps. But we tried getting in the snow arena for a little bit, but that's a whole nother animal. And so if we can get by with working that 7 to 8 9.5 months or 8.5 months, it's been great. And we haven't looked back. So, and especially, I'm a ghost spring, summer, and fall, right? So being blessed enough to be a stay-at-home dad in the wintertime, it's great. We're very lucky to do that.
Wow. Fantastic. So we're always, Contractor Grow Show here. We're always talking with contractors about how they kind of grow the business. I mean, you guys have got incredible reviews and it's like 5 stars across the board. And so, I imagine like most contractors, builders, landscapers, so much of your business comes from word of mouth. Do you guys do any type of other outreach, any billboards, any direct mail, any sponsorships, outreach to kind of grow the brand and the awareness, or are you guys just growing great with the word of mouth?
A lot of it is word of mouth. And we're at the point now after 30 years, or almost 30 years, a lot of our work, we're doing jobs for customers, their kids, right? Or their second home. And that's really cool because I remember these kids watching me playing with fire trucks in a window in their back door. And now we're doing the patio for them 25, 30 years later, right? We do, but we do a little bit of advertising through an agency here in Michigan, because I do feel like that presence needs to be there, especially, via social media, Facebook and Instagram. We do have some accounts there with our website because everybody is, the world is in their hand, right? And I'm guilty of it. I think we're all guilty of it. If I'm looking for a service or if I need something, the first place I go is on that cell phone or on a tablet or on a computer. And so I feel like we need to have that presence, and we do. We have a good presence. We have got some people that do a good job with that, but a large majority of our work does come from word of mouth referrals.
Got it. Fantastic. And I mean, so, you really pride yourself on being the main point of contact. You've got, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that are consistent. I imagine have been with you, at least some of them for a long time.
Yeah.
Sounds like just a great, very stable business. I mean, are you thinking about growing here over the next few years, or are things just really kind of set where they're at?
Well, I don't want to get any bigger, right? We've got enough equipment. I like staying in the spot that we're in. I would say we're in the transition point now where I'm training some guys to maybe take a little bit more of this load, right? Me to start becoming a little more sales. I've got some great guys. Like I said, I have a couple lead guys that are willing to, that are great. They're great learners. They've learned a lot, and now they can start taking this ball and running with it a little bit more, freeing up my time to do more sales and things like that. How much longer I myself want to be in this? It's a young man's game. I'll be the first one to admit that, being in this landscape industry, it's a young man's game. I'm 51. I'll be 51 this weekend, but so I think there's a page that's going to be turning here shortly in the next, say 5 to 8 years. So right now, I'm not looking to buy more trucks or more equipment or things like that. I want to just make sure that this transition, when it takes place, is seamless and nothing falls through the cracks with chaos of all these other crews and things going on like that. I like the spot we're in right now, and that's where we are with that, with awesome. Advance in the near future.
I love it. Well, fantastic, Chris. Your market area is down into Detroit. Is that correct?
Yeah, just on the north side of Detroit. We're, like I said, we're in a small town called Armada. We're about an hour north of Detroit, but it really depends on the project. We've done projects in Detroit. We've done projects and 45 in West Bloomfield, 45 minutes to an hour west of us, east of us, same thing, Port Huron, northern St. Clair County. It really depends on the project, and if it's a referral from a customer we already did, we take that serious, and more than likely we're probably going to do a project like that. But over the past 30 years, we've really had conversation with customers to find out if we're a good fit, right? So there's a lot of conversations we have to see. Sometimes we pass on projects, but a majority of the time, and I'll refer them to somebody that can help them. So we really try to tailor the jobs that are a good fit for us. Sure.
Makes perfect sense. Fantastic. Well, what a great story. I love that you guys have been at this for so long. I love that this is a real passion for you. It's interesting when business owners say, look, I'm going to be the main point of contact. It seemed that really adds kind of very important piece for homeowners that want to make sure the project's managed well. And they just really are looking for, not having layers between them and the owner of the company. And so they've got your cell phone and they're, getting in touch. What a great story of your business, man. If folks are in the kind of North Detroit area, if they're in Armada and are looking for a great, hardscape company to work with, what are the best ways to get in touch with you guys?
Social media, Facebook, Instagram, OBRYBrickLandscape.com is our website. We're pretty littered all over the internet. We've got a great website with Q&As. We've got a couple articles on there that can be found. So we do have a pretty good marketing strategy. And so anywhere, especially social media, Facebook or Instagram.
Fantastic. So find them at Facebook, Instagram. You can see a bunch of great photos of their work there, or OBRY Brick and Landscape, which is OBRY brickandlandscape.com. Awesome, Chris. Thank you so much for being on the show today and teaching our listeners a bunch of great stuff.
Thanks, you. It was awesome. I appreciate it.